Good afternoon and welcome to RMU Live for Monday, February 5th, 2018. I'm Gage Golding.
And I'm Logan Carney. Here's what's happening now.
6 congressmen in Pennsylvania are not seeking re-election after their terms expire this fall. Of the 6 retiring, 5 Republicans are on the list. Bob Brady, Patrick Meehan, Bill Schuster, Lou Barletta, and Charlie Dent, and Tim Murphy, have all decided to not run for their seat during mid-election this year.
Vice President Mike Pence came to Pittsburgh last week. Gage Golding has more on that story.
Back in the Keystone State. Before I get started, allow me to bring greetings from the man Pennsylvania voted to make the 45th President of the United States of America.
Vice President Mike Pence left Washington, D.C. early Friday morning with his sights set on Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for the second presidential trip in only 15 days. Pence spoke to about 300 people at the Bethel Park Community Center, where he showed his support for Rick Saccone, the Republican nominee running for Congress in this year's special election on March 13th. The vice president's speech mainly talked about the reports of the nation's unemployment rate hitting the lowest in 17 years, the administration's work to fight off ISIS, a plan to build a wall between the United States-Mexico border, as well as President Trump's tax plan to help save the working man money. The vice president's administration did hint that President Donald Trump will be visiting the Pittsburgh area again before the March 13th election between Connor Lamb and Rick Saccone. Following Vice President Mike Pence's speech here at the Bethel Park Community Center, he traveled to the Heinz History Center in the Strip District neighborhood of Pittsburgh for his Tax Cuts Put American First speech. That was his third and final stop in his tour here in Pittsburgh. Reporting from the Bethel Park Community Center in Bethel Park, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Gage Golding, RMU Century Media.
Now, Gage, we had President Trump came here just a couple weeks ago, Vice President Pence. Now, I think it's safe to say that this race is going to have to be very, very important for both sides of the political spectrum.
Absolutely. This is something that's going to be a mainstay. Like you said, President Trump came 15 days later, Mike Pence came, and they said there that President Trump might be making another appearance here in Pittsburgh before that March 13th election. So waiting on that. But if that does happen, you can follow that coverage right here on RMU-TV and RMU Century Media. Authorities in Pittsburgh are battling a new type of drug that is killing even more people to add to the opioid epidemic. Authorities say designer drugs from China are hitting the streets on Pittsburgh. The Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office said that last year they performed over 1,600 autopsies, and almost 1/3 of them were related to drug overdoses.
2 people were killed and 2 more were injured in 3 separate accidents on the Pennsylvania Turnpike in Somerset County Saturday morning. The accidents all took place in the same area. The first car hit the guardrail before 2 more will hit it at about 6:30 a.m. Police say that all 3 aren't connected, though.
The Medical Examiner in Pittsburgh has identified a man who died in a house fire in Brentwood last week. 56-year-old Michael Festa was killed in the fire on Thursday. Authorities say that the fire was started by an explosion nearby.
Officers investigating a reported robbery at Westview Terrace found a dog abandoned and neglected inside the home. Police said the dog was so malnourished that it could not walk or even stand up. The Lawrence County Humane Society now has a dog, according to the police. Police are hoping to charge the previous tenants for animal cruelty. After 10 years, the family was reunited with their dog in Lower Borough. Deborah Surveld says that she received word that her long-lost dog, Abby, was wandering around. Surveld says that Abby left the family's home in Apollo sometime in 2008.
A man was fatally shot in Springdale Township on Sunday morning after he tried to break into a home. Officials responded to a home invasion call on the 1200 block of Butler Road around 10:05 a.m. They said Joseph Sikora broke a glass door and entered the home. A resident shot him and he fled across the road where he was found dead. A man was found shot in McKees Rocks Friday night. Emergency crews found the man suffering from gunshot wounds. The victim was transported to the hospital and is in critical condition. Police are investigating the shooting.
Police in Scranton, Pennsylvania find what they say was a fake bomb. Peggy Lee has more on the story in Scranton.
cop was standing there. He's like, yeah, this is what it looked like. Doesn't that look real? I said, yeah, it does.
You need to tell us.
Looks
when they're
totally
switching
real.
stories.
Yeah.
After looking at what was found in the Washington Park development near Mashopin, neighbors understood the need for alarm. But Mashopin police say this isn't a bomb, just a very authentic-looking fake one.
I know dynamite a little bit, and that was a very convincing prop they had.
Police say the new owner of 14 Genie Drive was cleaning out the basement when he found what appeared to be sticks of dynamite with a timer attached around 12:45 in the afternoon. Police responded and homes on Genie Drive and 2 other streets were evacuated for hours as the Scranton Bomb Squad was called in.
My husband called me, said, don't bother coming home. They won't let you in.
A lot of the people here at P&G were working nights. My other neighbor said, geez, he wakes up to somebody pounding on his door. And so, you know, you get a little excited.
Children living in this development who attend school in the Tunkhannock Area School District were not allowed to return home. They were taken to nearby Mahoopany Elementary School where their parents could pick them up.
We got on the bus and then we went right back to Mahoopany after the kids were dropped off, except Washington Park.
Police say the house has been vacant after the previous owner died some time ago. Neighbor Michelle Simons says that man was retired military and wonders if the fake bomb was his.
When they said what house it was, I'm like, the guy collected a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
That's some scary stuff there, huh, Logan? It's crazy how, you know, people just, why? You know, what possesses people to make these random things?
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, thank God it was fake. You know, we can only hope for the community and everything like that. If to get in a scare that I'm sure is something that, you know, I never could explain because it just seems so scary, you know, like you said.
Absolutely. Better to be reporting on fake bombs than real bombs. 2 men that were killed in an accident at a crane manufacturer in Chambersburg have now been identified. 49-year-old Chris Robinson and 66-year-old John Markooks were killed in the accident that happened last Friday morning. The United States Occupational Health and Safety Administration is investigating the accident.
Police say they recovered a handgun and arrested 3 Pennsylvania men during a traffic stop at the Holland Tunnel entrance in New Jersey. The 3 men from Lancaster were arrested on drug counts. One was charged with unlawful possession of a handgun, and another suspect were held under outstanding arrest warrants from Pennsylvania, the details of which weren't provided. Pittsburgh Mayor Bill Peduto is frustrated with the city school district leaders as they are unwilling to meet with him to try and settle the teachers' strike that could happen. A week ago, the Federation of Teachers said they would be voting on a strike to get a new contract. The teachers are working on a contract that expired in June of last year.
The state awarded a grant to Settlers Cabin, a state park in Allegheny County, in order to restore a waterway that was damaged by mining. The $318,000 grant will clean up the Pinkerton waterway that has been soiled by acidic residue leaking from mines nearby. And for all you need to know about news, sports, arts, and entertainment at Robert Morris and around the Pittsburgh area, be sure to visit RMUCentralMedia.com.
Come back after commercial break to find out why Russia is increasing their pressure on rebels in Syria.
And a train derails in South Carolina. We have all that and more coming up next.
Taxi, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Robert Morris is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
The U.S. Navy on Saturday commissioned its newest warship called the USS Omaha. The ship is a futuristic $440 million vessel named for the Nebraska hometown of billionaire Warren Buffett. Buffett's daughter Susie Buffett was designated the ship's sponsor. The ship is designed for missions close to shore. It has high-tech computer capabilities and can be reconfigured for various missions. It will most likely be used for anti-submarine warfare and anti-mine operations.
A state trooper in Connecticut is dead following a head-on collision Saturday night. State police say that Trooper Danielle Miller was killed in Wilcott. Authorities investigating the accident said that Miller's cruiser collided with a 2004 Ford pickup truck. Both drivers were taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
Now, The Bachelor is used to unite and create new families, but it's not always used to reunite them. Reporter Nazi Javid has more on this story.
I'm Becca.
Nice to meet you, Becca.
Nice to meet you too.
It's the unusual story behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. A story of a missing woman in Humboldt who wasn't missing at all.
It's kind of a confusing story. I'm sure everybody is kind of thinking, what is going on?
Samantha Cargas with the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office explaining it all started with a phone call.
Her mother hadn't heard from her since November the 12th, and she called the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office worried for her daughter.
22-year-old Rebecca Martinez first reported missing by her mother on November 18th.
Rebecca had told her mother that she was going to work on a marijuana farm here in Humboldt County, and she'd be out of touch, so to speak, for the next 8 days. The marijuana farms here are associated with people coming up to Humboldt, trimming, and not coming back.
And naturally, Mom was worried, so investigators tried contacting Martinez. No response.
We reached out to her mother back in December and checked in with her to see whether or not Rebecca had been found. And her mother replied and said that she had called home, said she was heading home on actually the day that she was reported missing. She had called home.
The North Coast Journal featuring Martinez in a story about people missing in Humboldt. Martinez among those listed as missing on the California Department of Justice website.
A lot of our missing persons cases here in Humboldt County revolve around the marijuana industry.
Then on February 1st, the Sheriff's Office saying a Humboldt local commented on the article and reported seeing Martinez on The Bachelor.
I may be young, but I can still appreciate something classic.
So the deputy trying to contact Martinez, but again, no answer.
Because of our policy, we need to make direct contact with that missing person in order to ensure that they are in a state of well-being.
Later that day, Martinez contacting the deputy, confirming that she's not in fact missing and apparently shining bright in the Hollywood lights.
Our deputy says that she laughed a lot on the phone and sounded like she was doing okay.
Reporting in Humboldt County, I'm Nazi Javid.
Now, Gage, with all the stuff that goes on nowadays, we talked about it a little bit, after our last story, but it's great to finally hear some good news, about a woman who turned out not to be missing.
Absolutely. Always warms the heart a little bit. Police in Maryland are asking people to stop sharing a video on Facebook that they say contains child pornography. Authorities are saying that the content is illegal to share or even open and should be immediately deleted if sent to you. A Good Samaritan in Utah saved a police officer's life just by carrying a gun. Derek Meyer was driving on Main Street in Springville when he saw a man beating a cop. Meyer stopped his vehicle and pointed his gun at the man and ordered him to stop. The man then fled. Police later caught him hiding under a trailer.
A 20-year veteran teacher is accused of assaulting a middle school student who refused to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The kneeling for the pledge started with Colin Kaepernick refusing to stand for the national anthem to protest police brutality a couple years ago. That has caused it to spread all around the country. Some school districts and organizations have said to punish those who don't stand for the anthem.
Two people in North Carolina are being charged with incest after they had a love child. Father 42-year-old Stephen Paddle and daughter Katie Paddle are being charged with incest, adultery, and delinquency. Each of the two are released on $1 million bonds each. A train accident in South Carolina killing 2 and injuring 116 people. Kim Hutcherson has more on the story in South Carolina. That was not complete.
Headed to Florida from New York and carrying nearly 150 people, crashed into a CSX freight train, derailing several passenger cars and the lead engine in Casey, South Carolina, early Sunday. 2 people were killed and more than 100 others injured. Amtrak identified the dead as the train's engineer and the train's conductor. No one appeared to have been aboard the CSX train at the time of impact. South Carolina's governor addressed the situation.
The CSX was on the track that it was supposed to be on, but it appears that Amtrak was on the wrong track.
The National Transportation Safety Board is on the scene investigating. A source with knowledge of the investigation says they're focusing on the signal systems and whether they were working properly. This is the latest deadly incident involving an Amtrak train. In December, an Amtrak train derailed near DuPont, Washington, killing 3. I'm Kim Hutcherson reporting.
Now, they are saying, I looked a little bit more into the story, Logan, they're saying that a padlock locked the track into place. You know, with all the technology in the world, a padlock can, kill 2 people and injure hundreds.
I mean, they're designed to lock the train in place, aren't they? It's just unfortunate that that situation had to happen.
Absolutely.
But now Russian fighters increased their bombing on rebel towns in Syria a day after rebels shot down a Russian plane. My apologies. Russia's defense ministry and Syrian rebels said that the Russian Su-25 jet was down on Saturday in an area that has seen fierce fighting on the ground and heavy airstrikes, targeting rebel groups opposed to President Bashar al-Assad. The bombings hit the cities of Kafar Nubal and Massaran, which led to several deaths in the area.
Coming up after the break, 2 students in Alabama were punished after a same-sex promposal.
And aerospace giant SpaceX is launching a rocket on Tuesday. All this and more when we come back.
For a tripod, I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Upper Morris is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
A roadside bomb in Egypt killed 2 members of Egyptian security forces. The accident that took place in the northern Sinai Peninsula, targeted a pickup truck carrying members of the security forces. There is no immediate claim of responsibility of the accident.
North Korea has been acquiring technology for its nuclear weapons program through its Berlin embassy. Authorities believe parts for North Korea's weapons program were, quote-unquote, acquired through shadow buyers or shadow markets abroad, which they then brought in Germany, end quote. Many of the purchases were so-called dual-use goods that could be used for both civil and military purposes.
An oil tanker is now missing in the Gulf of Guinea. 22 crew members and 13,500 gallons of gasoline went missing last Friday. The Indian tanker is expected to be captured by pirates in the open waters. The ship was last seen at 3:30 a.m. off the coast of Benin.
After North and South Korea agreed to march under one flag at the opening ceremony, North Korea's head of state is said to attend the opening ceremony. Although people believe that this has signaled a thaw in their relationship, officials believe that it is unlikely that it will have any impact on the North's nuclear ambitions. Egyptian archaeologists found a well-preserved tomb from 5th Dynasty in Giza's Western Cemetery. This was an era where pharaohs ruled and palaces and pyramids were built. Officials say that the tomb is 4,400 years old, and that is belonged to Hepit, who was a Prostis, the goddess of fertility.
Following a same-sex promposal during a talent show at a high school in Alabama, 2 students were given detention. With more on the story is Patrick Thomas.
Parents and students say they're upset about why a talent show was causing such an uproar here in Alexandria.
It's not right.
I think they should just let them go to prom and be happy.
At least 2 Alexandria high school students were put into in-school detention after one girl chose to ask another to the prom during a talent show in front of everyone. Sophomore Dylan Vincent says he was there.
And at the end of the song, she called her back on stage and asked her to go to prom. And everybody applauded for her, but all the teachers got mad about it.
Alexandria High School Principal Mac Hawley denies the punishment, but is instead because the students were in violation of a school policy that typically doesn't allow any prom proposals.
So I don't see a problem with it.
Mr. Hawley says at least one of the students did ask the teacher who was running the talent show for permission, but the teacher told them no. Dylan's mom, Brandy Sees, doesn't think what the girls did should be a violation.
I don't think that it's right to discriminate somebody, I'll put it that way. It's gone too far. I mean, way too far.
Hawley did not say if the students could still go to the prom. If they cannot attend, some students tell us they may boycott the decision by not going. In Alexandria, Patrick Thomas, ABC 3340 News.
Thank you, Patrick. But now it's time that we're going to move on to some banks in Britain and the United States, as they have banned the use of credit cards to buy bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies. Their goal is to protect consumers, as their fear is Bitcoin's value will decrease and leave customers unable to pay their debt.
SpaceX has officially received their license to launch their SpaceX Heavy Falcon rocket on Tuesday. The FAA granted permission for the launch at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The mission will cost SpaceX $90 million and is considered one of the cheapest missions ever due to the use of recycled parts. The Heavy Falcon, will be one of the most powerful rockets ever launched into space.
Sunday, during the Super Bowl broadcast, the telecast went dark for several seconds during commercial break. This comes a year after DirecTV customers around Pittsburgh missed the game-winning touchdown catch and much of the overtime in last year's Super Bowl due to technical issues. This issue was nationally, though, and only caused the miss of one commercial. Be sure to tune in to our other shows, RMU-Live Mondays at 1 p.m. and Fridays at noon, Sports Talk in the Berg and RMU Tonight Wednesdays at 5 p.m., as well as Colonial Sports Center Thursday at 9:30 p.m. here on RMU-TV. Stay tuned as our own Mike Shuley breaks down last night's Super Bowl.
And we check in with Reagan Check on the weather. Don't go anywhere.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after a performance is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Gentlemen, I'm Michael Schuley, and let's take a look at what happened in this weekend in sports. Philadelphia is still standing after the city's Super Bowl victory celebrations last night. The Eagles defeated the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 52 by a score of 41-33. This victory marks the franchise's first ever Super Bowl championship. The Eagles were led by quarterback Nick Foles, who threw for 373 yards and 3 touchdowns on his way to winning the game's MVP. As you could probably imagine, the celebrations got a little out of control in the streets of Philadelphia as fans celebrated the team's first NFL championship since 1960. As you can see here, we got some down street posts, stoplights, and broken glass throughout the city. What a sight it was this morning in Philadelphia. Elsewhere in sports, the Penguins split their 2 games this weekend. The first of these games was Friday night against the rival Washington Capitals. The Penguins were led by Evgeny Malkin's 2-goal, 2-assist performance, which helped the team to a 7-4 victory. Phil Kessel was also a key contributor. He pitched in 2 goals and an assist of his own. Unfortunately, the Penguins, Saturday night was not as kind as they fell to the New Jersey Devils 3-1. Malkin was the lone goal scorer for the Pens, and he netted his 29th goal of the season. The Penguins now sit in 3rd place in the Metropolitan Division with 61 points. This puts them just 4 points behind the Capitals, who lead the division, and just 1 point behind the Devils, who are in 2nd place. The Penguins will be in action again tomorrow night as Marc-Andre Fleury returns to Pittsburgh with the Las Vegas Golden Knights to take on the Penguins. As for Robert Morris sports, the men's hockey team was able to pick up 2 huge victories this weekend at Sacred Heart. They now sit in 3rd place in the Atlantic Hockey Conference, just 2 points behind the 1st place Canisius College. The Colonials will attempt to close this gap this weekend with 2 games at home against RIT. In other RMU sports, the men's basketball team fell to Fairleigh Dickinson 73-67. This marks the team's 3rd consecutive loss and their 4th loss out of the last 5 games. They will be back in action Thursday night as the Colonials are slated to square off against St. Francis Brooklyn. The tip-off is set for 7 p.m. And the women's basketball team lost their first game in conference play this weekend after falling 68-47 to the St. Francis Red Flash. They will be back in action on Saturday as they travel to LIU Brooklyn. That's all for the sports report. Let's go over to Reagan Check for a look at the weather.
All right, thank you, Mike. And looking at today, the high is 26 and the low is 19. And as Punxsutawney said, there is 6 more weeks of winter. And with a look outside, it is snowy and the ground is pretty much covered. Let's look at tomorrow's weather. The high is 31 and the low is 20, and this is basically what we're going to look at all week. Let's take a look at that forecast. So every other day we're looking at snow, and we're actually going to have some sun on Thursday, and the lowest is Thursday is 8. So let's send it back to the desk with Logan and Gage.
Thank you, Reagan. And today just happens to be National Weather Person's Day, so big thank you to Reagan Check and Tyler Schlendorn. He's on Fridays in the weather station. From all of us here at RMU-TV and RMU Century Media, we appreciate everything you do. Logan, man, big stuff, Super Bowl, favorite commercial, go.
I like the Tide commercial. I thought the Tide was hilarious, but speaking of which, no stains on this. This is also a Tide commercial.
Tide does not sponsor us. That's not a Tide plug. Obviously, Super Bowl, really good time. Great stuff this weekend, but hopefully Mike Schuley will be able to pick up some good stuff for us next week as the biggest weekend in sports is over. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for RMU Live today, but be sure to check back next week, this Friday at 12 o'clock, I don't really know my times, for RMU Live.
I'm Logan Carney, and that's Gage Golding. Have a good night.